welcome back. On the table in front of me, I have some beautiful examples of traditional Ghanaian fabrics. Now, these look like they could look good anywhere in the world, in the environment, on people. I'm also wearing something made by a contemporary Ghanaian designer out of contemporary African print fabric. Now, that designer's name is Kofi Ansah, and my personal theory for why his clothes are not available in all the top fashion stores of the world is because I think that by and large, African designers, led by Kofi Ansah, want to look better than their models and their customers. But I'm sure that Ansah, which is what I call Kofi Ansah, has different ideas, and I'm sure that you have some questions that you'd like to ask him about African fashion with a global perspective to it. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise.
Good morning.
L'enfant terrible du monde africain. Ansah. He knows my name.
That's a secret.
But it's not a secret. Say it again because I'm quite proud of it.
We of the Futu fraternity.
Kwesi Abaka Kwandaho. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now that we are done with the pleasantries, the protocols, and the fundamentals, I want to ask you a straightforward question. I know for a fact that each time you have a show, anywhere outside of Ghana as well as in Ghana, there is a lot of demand for your clothes. Now, why doesn't this translate into $1 billion franchise around the world? Why don't we find what you're wearing, what I am wearing, on the hangers, on the stores of Bloomingdale, Saks, and so on and so forth?
Why do you like asking me such difficult questions?
Is it a difficult question?
When, I have no answer. Didn't we just celebrate 50th anniversary of the AU? We've always done the talk show. Is the
too much talking.
Implementation.
But you are a doer. You design and manufacture clothes. So what is missing?
I have been doing, but it is the volumetrics.
The what?
Volumetrics.
Pardon me?
Volumetrics.
Volumetrics.
Yes.
Please translate it into English. English for me.
American bro.
Minty brofo.
Me fancy.
Oh, volumetrics is a fancy word.
It's a very fancy word.
Okay, what is the meaning of volumetrics in English?
We do them, but it's the quantities which makes them commercially viable. Business cannot exist on its own. You have the idea, you have the financial part of it. It creates an industry. The best ideas, if Microsoft came up with the best ideas and nobody had the confidence in it to support it, it will remain two-dimensional. And most of our processes are two-dimensional. Never gets to the three-dimensional stage. We come up with a narrative. How do we translate the narrative into a reality? And Africa is just stuck in the narrative. When do we move from the two-dimensional? We talk. Those who are pleading, those who are listening, and those who are ignoring the narrative. So we stay where we are, and we are looking for places. And
Okay, Kofi, let's look at this. You're wearing a really beautiful shirt made by yourself.
Yes.
I'm wearing a vest made by you. On the table in front of us, we have samples of traditional African fabrics. Do you think that what we are wearing and what's on the table of us has a demand globally? Is there a demand for this?
Of course. I mean, you're asking the obvious. 2009, I used this Bogolan here. I went to Rome, Roma. That's
one of the biggest fashion shows in the world.
Couture shows.
And you use this fabric?
By the time I finished with them, their mouths were, as we say in Ghana, agog. Their mouths were wide open.
They wanted it?
They wanted it. I mean, I had Bravo. If I had Bravo...
Okay, but surely buying more Bogolan and sewing more clothes from this fabric shouldn't be a problem for you, or is it?
It shouldn't be a problem.
So why not?
In the first place, let's talk about West African Trade Protocol. Crossing borders alone is a problem. Then you go for the volumes. Remember, I used the word volumetric. You can get the order, you go to look for the fabric. it becomes a problem. So
how big an order are we talking about that you say it's a problem? What are we talking about? How many yards of Bogolan would it take to satisfy an average order from an Italian fashion show?
If you have to make 100, there's no problem. But we can't always Africa hinge on the exclusive. We need to get into the commercial markets. We need to get into people's lifestyle.
Okay, so how many shirts make an average commercial order? How many waistcoats would an average order constitute? You go to a fashion show, you show a waistcoat like this, and somebody comes and says, I want this for all the shops that I work with around the world. How many waistcoats are we talking about?
Let me tell you something. I used to be a contractor designer for Van Heusen shirts. A sample order is 1.4 million. That is a sample order.
Is 1.4 million shirts.
Units.
So if you're able to do this, you become a millionaire just on that order.
Yes, overnight. But
I wish you had told me this before.
If somebody come to give you a sample order in where we live here, I can't go to London and say I'm going to raise money to do business in Ghana. It doesn't work. And our system, I don't want to get into the...
Okay, here's an interesting comment from a viewer, a regular contributor, and I really appreciate your attention and your contributions, John Kofi Brobe. He says, Eric, even we as Ghanaians, we are not promoting our fabrics because it has become a convention that African fabrics is seen or used on Fridays, which I think should be worn every day. We've looked at Italy. Let's come back home. What's happening on the local scene? The business of fashion in Ghana.
Let me take this up. I was instrumental in the National Friday Wear with Alan Chematin when he was Minister for Trade and Industry and all that. We thought, let's start on Friday and then evolve it into the rest of the day. So I'm an everyday African wear person. It is doing well. See, we're doing our bit to put it out there, but the support, because this season I managed to deliver a small order to Larry Nascente, which is the biggest Italian chain, in Europe. I collaborated with Moschino for their 2013 spring, summer collection to use wax print fabric from GTP here.
Fantastic.
New style.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
And we're working on all fronts. It is the confidence.
When you say we, is it you yourself and you?
No, we the sector. We the sector.
How many people like you do you know of in the fashion and garment and textile sector in Ghana? Because it looks like you are alone or almost alone.
Okay, Eric, in every situation you need a leader who can show the direction. I didn't say a ruler. A leader.
A dictator. I know you better than that.
Listen, I worked on a proposal with the International Trade Center, which was sponsored by the Swiss government, so that I can help mentor the young designers onto the luxury level as a concept. We get them to a luxury level, we get the impact there, then it filters down into the mass market. We started it. It's very difficult. The process, UN processes are not as easy as possible. But when you've done all this and we finish, do we walk away? There's a massive commercial potential.
Massive, eh?
Massive.
I picked up these fabrics from the art center just yesterday.
Yes.
And I was very happy when I found them. And when I was buying them, I was thinking back to a story that made the news some time ago, to the effect that we need to copyright our cultural heritage. We need to have copyright ownership of designs and fabrics such as Kente and Bogolan. I wonder what you think of that and whether that would help to boost trade or rather put more impediments in the way of efforts of designers and garment manufacturers such as yourself.
Fabrics we can copyright because, you see, for you to copyright something, you need to know the genesis, how it evolved, where it came from, and all that. So you have documented history on that item. But to do that, we have to go through a process. Are we even producing enough Kente?
Is that your biggest challenge?
That is a challenge.
No, is that your biggest challenge as a designer?
It is a challenge.
That we are not producing enough kente, for example.
Okay, let me rephrase this thing here.
The volumetrics that you keep talking about.
Volumetric. Kente as it is a national heritage. It is almost like part of the UNESCO heritage that become bastardized. But we can take a little percentage from it and industrialize it, go commercial. It's a project that I'm working on right now. Okay, then we can register it. When you come to such fabrics as the wax print, the GTP or ATL, the international property rights is not really ours.
They're not ours.
It's not ours.
Well,
ATL is owned by China. GTP is owned by Holland.
So what we think of as African print is not actually African owned.
It's not even. It is African print, but we don't have the rights to it because in 2000 and what they call it 8, I went and did a New York boutique show. I used the wax print called Felicia. The next season, Donna Karen went and used the same print and did a massive collection. What could I do? She went to Holland and bought the fabrics.
Okay, here are some questions for you. Chris Autry thinks that the cost discourages people from going into African clothing. John wants me to ask you if you use kente in your designs because you think that kente is very well known as a Ghanaian fabric out there. And Frederick Senor, 3 questions in one go. Ask Mr. Ansah where I'll get some of his products to buy in Ghana. You see, it's not easy to find Kofi Ansah shirt or waistcoat in Ghana, or even handkerchief.
That's so true. It's an overrated experience being exclusive.
Exclusivity.
I like money.
Okay, so what you're wearing, is that exclusive to you?
It is exclusive. I would like to produce this, the word again, volumetric. Okay.
But you would like to share it with the rest of the world?
I would like to. I want to make sure that I can sell for $10. There.
20 Ghana.
20 Ghana. But we need the partnership. I've got the ideas because artists come up with the ideas which is 2-dimensional, and then we need to collaborate to make money.
Okay.
The kente, I use the kente, but kente, I have so much respect for the traditional kente that I only use it on the couture level. I can't use it to make.
When you say couture, what does that mean?
That's the top end, one-off exclusives, because it is that special. It becomes an artwear. It's a form of wearing, the fabric as art.
Now, I mentioned earlier that I picked these fabrics up yesterday at the Art Center. To tell you the truth, I bought them because I wanted to make them into presents for the supermodel Naomi Campbell and the super stylist Edward Enimfo, who were in town with Willy van der Brandt, a top photographer, shooting for W Magazine. No doubt this will make Ghana look good. However, in an earlier conversation with some top stylists for fashion publications and photography, I asked them as to whether they think that Ghanaian designers, Ghanaian fabrics really have a good chance for the international market. And well, you see, the thing is that many people associate African fabrics with Africa, and because a lot of the imagery that comes for Africa or out of Africa on the international scene is negative, many people would hesitate to have something that is African on them or in their homes. What are your thoughts in that regard?
No, I don't know about the negative bit, because everything has a place in the marketplace. It is just a matter of putting it in the right situation.
What's the role of government in that? In putting things in the right situation? What's the role of policymakers?
Why do you ask me such difficult questions?
Because you are ages as l'enfant terrible du monde africain. The design dictator.
You see, we are like the children in a house. The government is our parent who is supposed to help us through our education, and when we finish, encourage us to have an employment. Then we pay back. But there is a certain lapse in the process here. We've been educated, we have the knowledge, now we want to go into the trade. I'll keep on hyping about the 3-dimension because we are too much theoretic. We go to the polytechnic, we go to universities, when we finish, okay, I've got this degree, what next? We fold our hands and sit down waiting for God to come We've been waiting for so long.
Next time you come, if you agree to, and I would like that to be on Saturday, on a Saturday, I would like us to look at fashion design, the design of fashion. Maybe you can bring some video clips of the fashion shows that you mentioned around the world. But today we're looking at the business, and Cyril Motte says, "Hi Eric, tell Mr. Ansah that his designs are really marvelous, and a big shout out to the Jimmy Crew boys." And Kofi Broby wants to know whether you organize fashion shows in the GH.
I do.
In Ghana.
I do.
When was the last time you had a fashion show in Ghana, and why did you have it? Was it for business or for entertainment?
I want to do it for business, but as it is, we don't have really the mechanism to put it out in commercial quantities, so it ends up being entertainment. But right now, I don't want it always to be about me. Okay, I am a kind of a mentor image where I'm trying to take the younger people up to be out there, because
you're so humble. I know for a fact that you're not just trying, and you're not just an image. You actually mentor, you train generations of designers. I've known that you've been doing this for years, and I want to ask you this question: how well are they doing? The people that you've trained over the years. You've been doing this for what, like 10?
Yeah, since 20
93.
Years.
Since 93.
Since 93.
So this is like 2 decades of investment in the garment industry, in the fashion sector, in young people. You started training people from day one. You take on young talents, you allow them into your studio, you show them your tricks, your skills, you allow them to work, then you allow them to leave. How successful
to be better.
Please tell Mr. Ansah to build more shops and advertise well, because if it had not been for today, I wouldn't have known him, writes Chris Ocho. I've been talking to Kofi Ansah, well-renowned Ghanaian designer, has been known to design clothes for people who are really at the top of the social A-lists. Superstars, celebrities, royalties for special events, one-off gowns. Some of them cost in figures that I don't want to mention here. But he
Please
says,
don't.
He says he wants to be able to design shirts for you and for me that we can buy for about 20 Ghana cedis. Now that sounds like a wonderful idea. That's a fantastic intention. It is the actions that will lead to the outcome.